Hello and welcome everyone to the Connect webinar series by JSW's team. Today, each and every one of us is battling the COVID-19 pandemic, and there is a question on everyone's mind: how will we overcome business challenges in a COVID world, a post-COVID world? To strategize this and find some answers, I would like to introduce today's presenter, Mr. Sunil Aima, CEO, Savita Oil and Technologies, to this forum. Sunil, a senior business leader, comes with a deep sales, marketing, and business management experience. He has successfully track record of defining and implementing strategies across multiple companies like HUL, Castrol, Escorts, where he has worked across geographies around the world. Before handing over to Sunil, I would like to inform everyone that we would like to hear from you and answer your queries. You have an option of posting your questions in the Q&A box or in the chat box where we would like to answer towards the end of the session. So over to you, Sunil.
Thank you, Omkar, and thank you, Nilesh Malani, for having asked me to come and join your team for a quick 1-hour session. So thank you very much. Good afternoon to all the JSW Steel sales and distribution champions. Thanks for my intro. Yes, I've been a salesperson all my life, possibly right from the time I was born till even today. I'm a salesperson, and some theories or some mantras which I normally follow in my life are: one is tough times don't last, tough people do. And I think you guys are made of steel, so I'm sure you people know how to last, right? Great businesses are built only because they can very clearly differentiate between men and the boys. And yes, steel guys are always men, right? And they're not the boys. Attitude wise, always have a will do, can do attitude, because that's what makes the mayor run. That's what makes things go around, right? And finally, I would say a true business leader is the one who can turn a disaster into an opportunity. There's always an opportunity lurking around, even in case of a disaster. And I was talking to a friend of mine recently, and he kind of very nicely said, "Hey guys, people are really getting worried about COVID. But if I was," and he actually redefined COVID into alphabets, he said, "if I can just see is courage, courage which is required for survival. O is opportunities to excel, because even in this period, there are great opportunities to excel in whatever we do. V for visualize the future and also start a plan and start planning what if scenarios. I know lots of us are dory, we do our businesses, we are very happy, everything is normal, but there is something like called as what if something does not go right, what is then I'm going to do, what are the mitigations that I'm going to take care of. I for incredible or insistent communication. It's a time when you should be communicating with your teams, with your family, with your relations, with everybody. It's a great opportunity for all of us. With this lockdown, we have literally got 14 hours a day to do lots of stuff which we never did earlier. And D for daring or dynamic ability to basically, like I said, can do, will do attitude. Coming to what the current country scenario is, I mean, I was just looking at statistics. COVID-19, I mean, as of now, India has tested 7.17 lakh cases, and only, can you believe, 29,600, 29,700 have turned out to be positive as of today morning, right? Which is 4.1%. Yes, I think lockdown is helping. I think people are being very, very careful in maintaining social distances. People are staying home. Thank you to everybody, and thank you to all our co-Indians who are taking this quite seriously. Reported deaths still under 1,000. I mean, credit to all central government employees, all our doctors, nurses, police authorities, you name it. I mean, I'm sure there's a huge machinery which is working behind the scenes to make all of us be safe and come out of COVID-19 if all goes well on 4th May when the lockdown moves away. There's some talk about that it may get extended some of the districts, but we'll come and cross the bridge when it comes to. We have almost about 500 districts which are either red or orange. I was looking at state-wise map today, and it's all red or orange. There are very few greens, and we have to turn, like the Prime Minister said today morning, we have to turn red into orange and orange into green, and that's what we all should work for. Okay. Some good news is the agriculture crop is going to be good. farmers are busy. I can tell you because I do supply products to some Swaraj and Mahindra dealerships. Yes, the business has started. We have been allowed to at least supply products to these guys, and the market is opened up for agri. And the predictions are for a very good monsoon. So all these things are ticked in the box. And you know, the Indian economy quite heavily depends on the rural growth and rural economy. So that's a very big tick there. I mean, changes that have occurred. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, in last 40, 45 days, we have seen a lot of changes happen. But just a health warning before that, I would say, I mean, I may say that it doesn't apply to FMCG category or health categories, but otherwise it works across all categories. Abruptly, we all went home on 21st March evening. And lo and behold, on 22nd March was a Sunday. We thought, okay. And then 23rd March onward, some states started doing lockdown, some did hartal, some did something. And 23rd March was the last day when we all went to our office, shop, businesses, or gaddi, or whatever we want to call it. And now, what is scheduled to happen is that we will open again on 4th May, if all goes well, 2020. So in between, there have been this 40, 42 days of inactivity. Inactivity in terms of business, in terms of commerce, in terms of economics. But what hasn't changed in this period of time is the stock in hand, be it with the manufacturer, be it with you as our distributor partners, or be it retail hands which are selling the product finally with to the consumer. The stocks are exactly the same way that they were on the 22nd evening or 23rd evening. Current assets and current liabilities, our debts in the market still remain the same. I'm sure nobody is paying currently in the last 40, 42 days, but we are lucky. We still have some distributors of ours paying as they start taking the agri products from us, and creditors have remained the same. So all current assets, current liabilities remain the same. At a retail level, exactly the same story. The outlet when you go to, I mean, he would have the same stock which he had on 23rd. So on 4th May also he'll open with the same stock. He'll open with the same cash which he had in his cash box. He'll have the same cash which he had in his bank or overdraft limit, whatever you may call it. So seriously speaking, it's just a suspended animation which has happened in last 40 to 42 days. So what would have changed therefore? I would say aging of stocks. I'm sure if you look at your invoices, you say, oh God, guys, our February and March invoices are still outstanding on 4th May. Yes, they are. There would be a slight slow start to consumers coming in to buy, because people would be a little watchful. They will know when the whole thing will come, may start again. There may be a repeat, and there'll be a little kind of limited availability of consumers to start with. But in my best understanding, it's going to take 30 days to 2 months maximum for the life to come back to normal. First 30 days, yes. So therefore, what do we do? I mean, in this particular period, it's by categories. I mean, if you ask me, the categories which have had minimal impact on this 45 days is very clearly FMCG, fast-moving consumer goods, atta, chawal, soaps, dispense, your toiletries, your dals, lentils, whatever you want to call it. Pharma and health, cell phones and internet. Internet usage has gone up drastically, and cell phone usage has gone drastically because everybody is talking to everybody, which is very good. I mean, at least even though there's a social distancing, but there's no social communication, which is a ban. TV apps like Netflix, Hotstar, Prime, Z5, they're all working very well, and they're working far better than what they used to work earlier. Mining is another example where Government of India said it's an essential commodity, so they have continued to work. Categories which have severely got impacted, I would say I'll first refer to where I come from. Auto sector, motorcycle sales, car sales, tractor sales, all have come to a standstill. Apparels and garments, I mean, every shop is closed, all malls are closed. Building construction, where you guys come from, cement, steel, paint, everything is stopped totally. Fuels and lubricants, in our case, there are hardly any vehicles on the road. There are hardly any kilometers being run on the road. So personal mobility, what we talk about, motorcycles and cars, people are stationed home, so they are not using any of their cars, vehicles, so no fuel being consumed, and hence no lubricant would be consumed. Alcohol and liquor, I mean, basically there are people who are possibly we may end up as a country with people totally as teetotalers, which I'm sure some of us will really enjoy and very be very happy about. And therefore, almost all categories have got impacted during this period. Uh, Even in FMCG, initially there was a big spike when we got to hear Americans are hoarding toilet papers and they're hoarding. I mean, there were the WhatsApp messages coming in that all supermarkets were totally empty, shelves are being emptied. So all of us as Indians, we ran, we got all stuff, and the second week and third week of March saw a lot of off takes. But now, if you go to a retail outlet, I mean, today, there are hardly any consumers there because people have hoarded. They knew they hoarded for 2 months, 3 months, and now people are only buying what is not consumed. So that even that peak sale that happened in FMCG, that is also kind of gradually slowed down. Uh, I mean, you may say, Sunil, you are from lubricant industry. What do you understand about our business? And we are a totally different category. But unfortunately or fortunately, there's quite a bit of similarities in almost every business. And I was trying to draw upon and speaking to Mr. Malani. We were both discussing what are the similarities that we have within our businesses. I mean, one very clear model is that we both use distributor model, uh, and we are trying to implement distributor model in a much deeper sense and really trying to make it work. Uh, Both of us have lost volumes because of this lockdown. You are not selling your stuff. I'm not selling my lubricants. So both are in the same place. Uh, uh, we have very clearly implemented in both the businesses very planned sales. What is planned sales is basically where you have sales reps making professional calls to their outlets. They have a very clearly defined permanent journey plan. They strictly follow that permanent journey plan. So they take orders on a planned manner, and you are therefore able to supply in a planned manner. And hence, there's a good control on credit. There's a good control on stock. Everything is very nicely planned so that the working capital rotations are rightly attuned to what we expect from a business. Uh, Part of our business, I mean, my business as well as your business, is related to auto OEMs. I know that you guys supply some of your sheet metal to auto OEMs, and with them, these guys being shut down, both are under lockdown, right? So our business is stopped, yours is stopped. Our product goes into the initial fill. I mean, when a vehicle is made, when it moves to you as a consumer, it has to have carry oil, and I think we supply a lot of oil to a lot of OEMs, and that has come to a standstill. All of us are working from home. I mean, it's true that whether you or me or my salespeople or even my distributors, all are working from home, and therefore lots of people have started using lots of other stuff, which is like using smartphone and laptop. I think usage on that smartphone and if you have a laptop, the both usages have gone up. All of us had time to spend with our families. I think this is something which I'm sure we will never get back again. I mean, you in your own businesses are so busy. We in our own job are so busy that we hardly get. I mean, while we all talk about work-life balance, but I know for an Indian, I mean, we right from childhood we are taught to be very competitive. But like even when we go to school, even when we are first standard, if you come back home and say, "Dad, I got a second position," you get a slap. Why did you get a second position, not a first position? Because we are being pushed so much to be so competitive that rather than somebody encouraging us saying, okay, you come second, very good, well done, guy, come, next time it can be first, we get a slap. So therefore, we are right from the time when we are born, we learn to be very competitive. And in doing so, while we may do lip service to our work-life balance, I think even we as corporate citizens spend a lot of time on work, and I think we do a lot of just a lip service to our home. But I think these 40-45 days, I'm sure there's been quite a bit of uh, uh, good time spent with the families, with the children, with parents. So wonderful. So all of us are doing that. Watch some very interesting stuff on TV. I mean, I've never watched, seriously speaking, so much of TV. What I did in the last 45 days, and I used to hear people talking about binge watching and all, and I didn't really qualify with that. But today I can also qualify. I say, yeah, okay, now it makes sense, man. Season after season, episode after episode, it really gets very interesting. Uh, we all tried to educate ourselves with the Gyan on COVID-19, which is available on WhatsApp Academy. My strictest or request is WhatsApp Academy has lots of pros and lots of cons. Please read what government circulars talk about. Read what World Health Organization talks about. I think that's a far more dependable news. Look at the newspapers. There are so many electronic newspapers available every day morning. I think if you can spend time, that's a very good source of information. But then still, some virtual training programs. I think people have spent a lot of time on virtual training program. I would say my own team, I have ensured that last 45 days, at least each employee has spent 4 to 5 man days of virtual training. We're literally, training everybody on a daily basis on selling skills, on your product training, on how to overcome objections in the market, negotiation skills, communication skills, how to make presentations. There's so varied subjects that you, even as businessmen, can pick up, because finally, at the end of the day, everybody is professionalizing, and hence there's a great opportunity for us to do that. And plus, please remember this time which has been made available to you to really strategize. I'm sure all of you have a strategy in place, even whether it's a small business or a big business or a medium scale business, all of you work to a strategy. Last 45 days would have given you ample opportunity to rethink, relook at your strategy, tick the boxes saying, yes, this is going well, this is going well, this is going well, but yes, there's some tweak required in the way we go to market, or there's a tweak required in expanding our network. There's a tweak required in possibly enhancing the competencies of my salespeople. So a good time available for you to look at your strategy, because as they say, while strategy is 10%, implementing strategy is 90% of success. But to be successful, you have to have a strategy in place. Then only you can say, yes, this is what I looked for and this is what I achieved, and makes you feel that great at the end of the strategy period, saying, okay, I had gunned myself to do something and this is what I've delivered. But otherwise, it's like Ram Barose. Everything works too, because God is great, and I'm sure it always helps people who put in hard work. But then, could that hard work be far more focused? Is what our strategy delivers. I would say you got to have, you as distributors got to have a very clear strategy on market expansion. Uh, how can I expand my market? Because you can't draw upon the same outlet over and over again. There's a limitation of working capital in the same outlet. How can I expand market to draw upon more market capital into my business from the market than I am currently doing? Customer acquisition, expansion. How do I expand? How do I increase the depth? How do I sell more SKUs, more products to the same outlet which was buying me? Because I understand you guys are leaders, and so is your other competitor. Between the two of you, you're holding about 35 to 40% of market share. So literally speaking, can I expand my product range at the same outlet? And new expansions, new acquisitions of the customer. Strategy on working capital. I have X working capital today, and if I want to go from here 10% growth, because through acquisition of so many customers, of expanding the distribution lines, of adding new SKUs, or going to newer markets, newer districts, going rural, this is what my volume would be. This is what my working capital requirement would be. Therefore, what will be the sources for the working capital? Do I need to correct the credit? Do I need to credit the debtors? What do I need to correct? So all that time, I think this is what you should have spent your time on. Success of any business, and let me be very clear, whether it's a big brands like Unilever or big brands like JSW for that matter, what finally makes the difference is its people. People are the ones who make the difference between two brands. You could be as strong, you could be advertising worth millions and millions of dollars or rupees, but what makes the difference finally is what your people, how your people make the difference in the market. So the question to ask yourself is, how are you using your time during this lockdown? Like I talked about strategy, yes, you should check your strategy, you should check your assumptions, revise your assumptions going forward. Yes, there was a 1 month lockdown or 45-day lockdown. How do I now take 10.5 months and make it 12 months? Is there something I can tweak? That kind of thing. Train your staff on selling skills, competencies, product training. Get onto JSW team. Say, guys, can you train our sales reps on products? Can you train our people on sales skills? There's so many on the web programs available on selling skills. I was just reading today, Tata Consultancy Services have come out with some 35-watt programs which are free to public. You can log on to them and really go and train yourself, train your managers, train your sales reps on those products. Train on value selling. I mean, and we have to be very clear that what differentiates a big brand or a premium brand from me too brands is how do you sell value? How do you solve people's problems and not sell price? Selling price is all the time margin shrinkage and volume shrinkage, whereas selling value is volume expansion and margin expansion. How do I train my people to sell value? How do I train people to really find out how to get people to share their problems so that you can provide a solution to those problems? uh, Trained your retailers. I mean, there could be some very important retailers you have, and make them join the JSW program, or you run your own training programs. You run the way you run your business. Have a web-based just some communication with your retailers, because losing contact for last 45 days is a big dampener. So can you talk to them on a, I mean, if you just log on to Zoom, I mean, you can literally have a 40 minutes, even without taking a license, you can have a 40-minute trade session with 100 odd people, and that could be your trade, your network, right? So finally, therefore, using your people to the max, ensuring that they deliver the best, and that's what they make the difference. Uh, you could say, okay, all this is very good, wonderful. Now, what mitigations would you suggest, or I suggest, or JSW suggest, that when you come around, what should you be doing? I mean, one thing very clear, and I think this is being talked right from the beginning of lockdown, is cash is king. Cash is king. So therefore, when we open up, be a little careful. Don't go overboard in releasing supplies. I mean, I know people will be gunning. They've been sitting in office. They have this habit of, being busy, delivering, making invoices the whole day. And then you go back and say, what is this Mr. Ima saying? I would say, please don't go overboard in releasing supplies, because unless you have ensured that you have got your cash in place, all your exposures on cash which you had with the customer, that need to be taken care of first. You don't know what has happened in last 45 days. You don't know in wherever you supplied in a rural area, is that customer, does he still have stocks, or has he actually got rid of and liquidated all his stock? So therefore, go a little slow, take it little casual. I mean, do be very careful. All sales opportunities will be available because there is demand. Don't worry. Demand is not going anywhere. Demand will come back. And for items, so the categories like what you sell and what I sell, the demand has gone nowhere. It is just that people will be really careful to start with, because we are not sure as to what is going to happen. Is the lockdown really ending? Will there be a repeat? So people will be a little slow in opening up. But yes, but the demand hasn't gone everywhere. Make sure that you have a plan in place in collecting payments. I'd give you examples like we have in our business said very clearly that when we open on 4th May, all our previous outstandings, which would have aged by more than 45 days, because 45 days there's been no interaction. But also on the other hand, we know the retailers won't have all that cash available because they have stock lying with them to be for sale. So we said we will collect post-dated checks of 33% for a week later, 33% 2 weeks, and 33% for 3 weeks. And the 4th week, they'll be back on normal, because, like I said, the 45 days was a suspended animation time. So we are just trying to kill this 45 days out of the calendar and saying, okay, like in a normal business, you would have paid me for what you sold. I'm continuing to supply, but I want your payments on 33%, 33%, 33%. In some places where people are too stocked up, you can always say, okay, I will supply you for whatever payment you make, I'll supply you only 50% of that value, because like I said, don't go overboard. Question yourself, if out of the blue, a retailer comes to you, I mean, a retailer who never came to you comes to you now saying, I want to have a big order, please give it to me. Question yourself, why? Why is this customer coming? It could be possible that one of your fellow distributors in the other territory is possibly following strict discipline on payments. And this guy is coming to you. So basically, yes, if you can collect cash upfront, go ahead. But don't otherwise, don't go overboard. It's like, ask yourself a question, why is this guy in your market? Hold on to your pricing. People will have this tendency to say, let me discount and sell. Let me assure you, discounting happens once and for all. You can never pull back your price once you're discounted. because people will then go become floater retailers. So allow not that to happen. Maintain your margins, what you were charging before, continue at that. Don't dilute your margins. Play safe, because like I said, if you have got stock with you, that's all hard cash for you. So don't be desperate to negate or to sell everything right away. Be a little careful. Activate your sales team immediately, and to so as to double up their efforts. Huh? They have to double up their effort to visit their network. I mean, they have to strictly, even if you have never ever earlier checked out, now ensure that they're strictly adhering to their PJPs, which is permanent journey plans. I'm sure a lot of you would have created permanent journey plans for your sales rep. Ensure, correct, seriously monitor that are they going to every outlet, because don't remember, there's been no calls. Nobody has gone and checked an outlet for last 45 days, and hence it's very important for a your sales rep to go to the retail outlet, see exactly for himself what is the retailer doing before starting any fresh supplies. Uh, be proactive and checking the stock at retail outlets. Like I said, I mean, it shouldn't so happen that the guys are not of stock and then he wants to buy more material but doesn't want to pay you for the previous supply. If he has liquidated stock, collect your payment. Refresh point of sale. There could be scheme circulars, there could be scheme posters, there could be any POS lying there which are rotten away to glory or would have got very dusty. Please ensure that your sales guys go clean it up, because jo dikhta hai wo bikta, that saying goes very clear, and hence please ensure that that's done. Ensure your whichever way, I mean, payment I'll come to over and over again, because I believe that cash is king, and now a cash flow would be a problem for everybody, because last 45 days nobody received payment, and hence cash, there will be a cash flow issue. So securitize your pending payments. Don't go overboard in supplying. Securitize your earlier payments. Take post-dated checks, and this could possibly be a new ways of working going forward. And please do that very clearly, and avoid the tendency to overpush, because it's not going to help. Demand is going to come in slowly. Don't overpush your products. Sell what you think the guy can consume. If you have a weekly supply and your salesperson goes on a weekly basis, don't go beyond 2 weeks of stock. I'm sure you have your weekly averages or monthly. You sell for every outlet. You will know what the guy can buy in the past in good months. Don't go beyond that, because that could create major issues on supplies. Expand network. I mean, it's time for you to. Still, we're a couple of days away. I mean, about 10 days, about 7-8 days away from opening the market opening up. Look at your network today. Are you covering all your network? I mean, I can tell you from the company that have spent so much time in, or even the time I've spent with colleagues from my FMCG category. I'm very clear. The thumb rule is, if you have a market share of 20%, your numeric distribution should be at least 60 to 80%. Why 60 to 80%? Because reason being, you are the market leader. So look at your network, look at your universe. Say, if I am 20% market, if my company JSW is at 20% market share, am I indirectly or directly represented at 60 to 80% of the universe? If I'm not, plan out how do I want to expand that network. I know you could say that lots of people are bad paymasters, but believe you me, sir, I've been in the business for 36, 38 years now. The rule of 80-20 applies. 20% people would always be bad paymasters, 80% are good people. So please, look for those 80% people and expand your network. Expand to rural areas. Rural area, if you're missing that, there's a big opportunity available there in rural area. I mean, let me tell you that today, 40 to 50% of consumption happens in rural areas. For every second motorbike, or this motorbike manufacturers like TVS, Hero, Honda, Bajaj, they sell, every second bike sells in rural areas. 40% of Maruti Alto, the low value, the lowest price car of Maruti Alto sells in rural areas. There's an upswing in rural areas. We know this time the crop is good. We know the monsoon are going to be good. We know therefore the consumption and the disposable income in rural areas is going to be good. So expand into rural. Rural gives much better margins because there's very less competition. In your metro markets, because I'm sure you as steel suppliers and we as lubricant, we do look after supply to a lot of wholesalers, least realizing that the wholesalers are competitors. Wholesalers are competitors of distributors because they will buy you because you are the market leader, they will actually use you as a loss leader and sell other categories, other products, which you as a JSW distributor may not be able to do. So therefore, the more you expand to retail directly, better the chances, better the margins, and better cash flows you will have. And hence rural, like I said, because the wholesalers can't reach that deeper markets of rural, you would have much better margins. There'll be no price war in that market. And we all know rural consumer has a very high brand loyalty. And hence, once you convert them, once they have an experience with your product, once they feel my neighbor has used it, you bet this is a brand which is going to stay. And finally, I would say, has a consumption, like for the businesses that you look at and the business I look at. The first question we have to look at is, has the consumption been deferred or lost? That's a big question. Items of daily consumption like air travel, liquor, hotels, energy drinks, lubricants, I could claim that they have all lost consumption. So therefore, that volume loss is not going to come back. People will not drink liquor in the balance 320 days what they would have missed out in 40 days. People are not going to go to hotels for that 40 days which they missed out, or air travel is going to be limited. But can we, these guys, do something which is they can cover up in 11 months what they would have done in 12 months? That is a strategy that all these companies have to look at. But items of personal need like motorcycles, air conditioner, refrigerators. I mean, you say why air conditioner, refrigerators? Please understand, we all have been home. Normally, if an air conditioner was used in the family in one room or two rooms, that too during the night, today the entire family is in the room, children are in their rooms, you are in your own room. So there are 3-4 air conditioners running, and hence the usage of air conditioners. A refrigerator, so many times being pulled, opened, closed. So all these things are going to last much shorter time duration than they had. And if you look at 130 crore population of India, I'm sure there'll be far too many air conditioners which are getting overused and hence they'll need replacement. Refrigerators. Building and construction is one category which I don't think people have lost consumption there. It's only been deferred. Three cheese, what they say, food, shelter, and clothing. These are the basic necessities of people. And if I feel that, oh, COVID-19, I may not survive, on the back of the mind, I'll always think, I need to create at least a roof for my family, right? So the roofing, for that matter, comes to the mind as very clearly that you guys have not lost consumption, but your consumption has got deferred. And you have to therefore have strategies in place to meet your 12-month sale in 11 months. I'm even fuel and lubricants for that one, the category that I live in. And you could say that, Sunil, we talked to a colleague, one of our co-distributors in lubricants, and we heard that you said the same thing to them. And I said, yes, I would have said the same thing to them, because very clearly, I personally feel travel will increase. Because people will avoid using buses, people will avoid using trains, people will avoid using metro trains, primarily for the fact, for social distancing. So people who can afford will buy motorcycles. People who cannot afford, they'll buy second-hand motorcycles. They will buy second-hand cars. So second-hand car market, already I can tell you, it's a news that all these Mahindra First Choice and Toyota second-hand cars or Maruti second-hand cars, all are gearing up. Last year, they had an 18% growth in sale of second-hand cars. This year, they're thinking that it'll be double that number. So people traveling will be far more in their own vehicles, and hence usage will be much more compared to what we have seen in the past. So I, as a lubricant supplier, feel that I will have much higher consumption. I will get back my lost volume in the 11 months. Same thing on fuel. We haven't met our relations. We haven't met our nani, nana, dada, dadi, and I'm sure we'll not go by air because we are not sure. Air travel may become very expensive with social distancing. So we will use our cars because we know in our car space, the entire family of 4 is safe. We know that we can maintain social distancing from others, and we'll rather travel from Bombay to Pune or Delhi to Karnal or Chennai to Vellore to meet our relations, then use a bus or a train. So there, hence, the personal mobility will go up. And same way, like I said, building and construction will come back because housing or roof is the basic need. If I need to renovate, I will renovate. If I need to construct, I will construct, because it's not that I would have, just because it's 45 days, all my savings have gone. Rather, I have spent more on food and health, but my saving, which I had kept aside to replace my roof or to do my construction, I still have it. And and like I shared earlier, in a what if scenario, what if I don't survive tomorrow? What will happen to my family? So I will provide a roof for the family. Okay. So the future is great only if you are ready to take it on and avail all opportunities. So that's where I'll end. And over to you guys for any questions. I think it's 5:37. So I hope, Nilesh, and I have left enough time for people to ask questions. So I'll request somebody to moderate, or let's look at what are the questions on the system and how do you want to take it?
Yeah, sure, sure. I think that was quite interesting. There are a lot of questions which have come out from the session. So maybe we can select the questions one by one
Yeah.
and try to answer each. So one of the questions which says is, how is this COVID situation gonna affect the supply chain? So currently the supply chain is all closed, but it has to resume after the lockdown. But we see there is an issue of migrant laborers not being present. They are moving back to their rural places. So how do you see a change in the supply chain post this scenario?
I mean, like I said, I mean, I already said in my little talk also that consumers are not going to come back en masse, right? Because there will be always this feeling of what if it comes back. So it'll be a very gradual return to normalcy. Migrant laborers have gone, but I can assure you, from the manufacturer's point of view, I mean, I'm sure that's what JSW must have done. Uh, all manufacturers have adequate raw material to start production, and so as not to overstretch the supply chain of their supply chain. I mean, I know of my category, almost everybody has got 45 days, more than 45 days of raw materials lying with them. So it's just a question of when we can start production. Uh, yes, there are some categories which are very, very labor intensive. They are going to suffer a bit to start with, because they won't have, and even if when the lockdown opens, let me assure you, it's not going to be 100% back to normal. Today I was reading that even if they open up slowly, it will be 50-50 working. So that means even today, the plants which are working, like I know my plant comes under essential commodity, but we are only allowed to work with 50% people. Same way for refineries. I mean, the fuel refineries which you talk about, they're only allowed to operate with 25% people. So they would be stressed. I'm not for a minute saying it's going to be all okay. While Government of India said, okay, all transport is free, but there are no drivers, there are no cleaners. I mean, I know today, while we are desperately looking for 10 trucks a day to dispatch products for our OEM customers, we're not getting them. So there'll be an issue. There'll be an issue. But that's why I said, all of you as distributors, don't go overboard in liquidating your stocks. Please go slow. No need to cut pricing. No need to cut your margins. Go slow. It will take about 15-20 days post lockout being pulled out for the supply chain to return to normal. It's not going to be very quick. And like they say, there's no pain, no gain without pain. I know it's not been an answer which the people would have loved, but yes, it will be slow. It will be a slow start to the 100% back to normalcy.
One more question. Do you see India turning into an export-based economy like China? And what do you think will be the role of government to encourage this particular?
I mean, as we read newspapers, I mean, basically, very clearly we can see that there are even some industry leaders are talking about India centric, right? Recently, you must have seen Facebook has bought into Reliance, right? Reliance Geo. Uh, BP, the company that I worked for earlier, is opening up some 5,500 outlets with Reliance in fuel. So there's a lot of foreign investments coming in, and with this China, the way they behaved, I'm sure there would be somewhere a hurt feeling in the minds of people saying it's better to be in a country where transparency is far more than in China. Uh, so I do see, yes, I do see people preferring to invest in India compared to China. The only thing where we will suffer is infrastructure, and you can see that government is already talking about infrastructure, and even they've shifted their spends into infrastructure. We are slow in infrastructure, but I think we will see a much better investments in India than what we did see before COVID. That I can say very clearly. But how quickly, uh, because don't forget, every country is going through COVID, right? So even if, let's say, tomorrow, b- a big company like Amazon wants to come and say, we want to make this as a hub for all our localized purchases, it may take little time because they're also undergoing the same COVID-19 issues which we are undergoing.
There are some questions which are specifically on the cash, and since you have stressed throughout this thing that cash is the king, but still there are few questions which have been posted by our distributors saying how do we collect the bad debts from market, or cash payment will be slow, but there is a lot of pressure of banks to pay in the finance, and extension options may not be available. So how do we face this particular situation?
I mean, like I said, I mean, I gave an example also. I mean, you have to be a little tough in the sense. I mean, the money is not going to be easy to come through. So therefore, there has to be rules and regulations which you need to decide for your business. Uh, we have, like I have decided for my company very clearly that whosoever wants to come back and buy, he will have to make 3 installment payments of all the debts, because, like I said, we are very happy. I would like to securitize my payments rather than be very clear in saying, no, I will lodge the check on 9th May. But I want to have that muscle to say, okay, you want 2 days extra, so I will give you 2 days extra. So please securitize your debts which are in the market. You could say that I'm a distributor, sir. How will I do? And we don't have the same muscle as what you have as a principal. Let me assure you, it's the same story everywhere. The relationship which I have with you, you have the same relationship with the retailers. You have to be little tough. You have to be very clear that, look here, if I have to come and service you again, I need to buy the stock. And for buying stock, I need to have money. And for that money, if you don't pay me, where do I get the money? So I know it's a little difficult, but I think you need to put your foot down and say, sorry, either you you pay me 100, I'll supply you for 50, and I'll settle 50 from your against your previous payment, or make 3 installments. I'm ready to be flexible for 2-3 days in each of the checks. But by a normal time, if I did give you 30 days credit, I'm actually giving you 30 days credit, extended 30 days credit from the date of opening. I'm saying, give me 33%, 33%, 33% post-dated checks, and that's how I'm going to operate. I mean, it's going to be difficult. I mean, it's horses or courses. I mean, what works in your market could be very different. Maybe it's a cash business, so they may not give you a check. Maybe you can take a security check saying, man, my sales rep will come on 9th May and collect the cash, and he'll return the check to you because you want to do cash ka dhanda. Or, I mean, whichever way it works for you. In our business, at least for their distributors, it's all accounted checks, right? So therefore, we are pushing on checks. But in your trade, if there are people who do cash, and I'm being, don't quote me anywhere. I mean, you can possibly say you will prefer payment by check, but if you don't, I'll return the check to you, but give me cash on that particular day.
So you also spoke on some changes or things of change which has to happen on ground for salespeople. Like the scenario which is going to be now is going to be completely different how it was, say, before the COVID-19 started. So would you like to highlight this particular aspect a bit more? What changes do you expect for on-ground salespeople?
I would say, and when I say on-ground sales, I'm including the sales reps or distributors and our own salespeople, okay? Because we are all
Yes,
from the same
absolutely.
fraternity. We are all from the same fraternity, right? I think this COVID-19, to me, even I'm a salesman, okay, so I'm not ruling myself out of it. To me, there are some very clear learnings from COVID-19. One, I would say sell uniformly. I mean, this tendency of all of us to do 40-50% sale in last 3-4 days is really not great. Is not really good. Imagine how much of working capital of ours has got stuck because we had last month sold on 30-day credit. I mean, at least we did. We give 30 days credit to our distributors, and it's a working capital model. So don't worry if you don't get it. Why do my distributor get it? It's all about margin of working capital. So we had sold in February between 25th and 29th Feb. So that payment was supposed to come on 25th March or 29th March or 31st March. That didn't come. And I'm sure when I do pressure sales, my distributors also do pressure sales in the market. So one is very uniform sale. That's very good. Two, uh, this is the time when we all must have realized that if I had distributed my risk in far more places, mean if I had expanded my network to in line with what my market share is, like I said, at least a multiple of 3 or 4 from your market share basis, my risk in each outlet would be that much lesser. So I would do the big thing is to de-risk my business going forward. I mean, this is a lesson that we all should know. If COVID-19 has happened, this can happen again. Or at least if it doesn't happen, we should at least learn from it and say, what good things can I implement? So uniform sales, expanding your network, going to rural, something which a lot of people, I mean, we are very happy doing 10% growth, 5% growth. I mean, all salespeople, let you look at it. Sir, what's your plan for next year? Sir, I will grow 10%. And my question to them is, why 10%? What is the opportunity available in your market? What is the market share, therefore, you have in the market? If I have in my market 30% over all India 20%, so I can't expect to grow my market at 10%, but whereas if you are at 10%, you can grow 20-25%. So why are you restricting yourself? So look at the opportunity. So therefore, expanding market, going to rural, and upgrade yourself. I mean, last 45 days, I can tell you if people haven't been on training programs, if they're not, because don't I never say that it's a responsibility of the organization to train you. I think it's always the responsibility of the person that how much does he want to add, how much does he want to drink from this knowledge well, and have you invested in yourself, have you upgraded yourself, and if you haven't, constantly to do it. Now, even going forward, constantly upgrade yourself, constantly keep yourself up to date on the latest trends, the selling skills, keep yourself employable. I mean, I would say and employable and transferable. That's what it is.
Sure. Uh, One interesting question. So we always speak of reaching to the last mile customer, reaching out to the last mile. Now, how much or where should we stop, or should we let the wholesaler do that job for us? Like, how do we look into this particular issue?
It depends on seriously on the company's strategy. I mean, you could say that my distributor will reach up to 100 kilometers radius from wherever the person is, and that will be all direct coverage. Beyond that, I will go and allow my distributors to officially hire wholesalers who would again be in consultation with the company, and you do indirect coverage to those wholesalers, because what you don't want is that wholesaler coming back to your market and selling at a discount. Because if you have to create a great uh, relationship between yourself, your distributor, and the wholesaler, that they all work to one common cause, then you need to have the right set of wholesalers. Like I said, otherwise, normally, wholesalers will buy the product from you because you feel very nice about it, but they are very happy buying a market leader only to use you as a loss leader. They will sell your product at a cost cheaper than your distributor, and then thereafter sell other products. A wholesaler on an invoice basis always makes 3 to 4% on his invoice, but he could actually be incurring a loss on your product because he wants to sell it lower than your wholesaler from your distributor. So there has to be very clear strategy for the organization, depending on the product you carry, depending upon the distribution cost that you incur, depending upon what is your sales reach and how much would it cost you. If you look at, seriously thinking, you should, every distributor or every company should do what is a cost per call and cost per distribution event. And once you have those numbers, it will tell you exactly where is my break-even point for telling the distributor, don't go direct to this after this market. Let's appoint some wholesalers who are indirect partners, indirect coverage partners, and those wholesalers literally are in an agreement with you that they will not promote other brands, but they will be basically, it's kind of a sub distribution and not wholesale. So every wholesaler, it's like I remember good old days when Maruti came in 1984, Maruti car, there used to be a sticker behind it. It said, I want to be Mercedes when I grow up. The same way, every wholesaler also wants to be a distributor of a reputed organization, depending upon that there are good margins available in that business. And that margin availability can only happen if you have disciplined selling. So in our business, like lubricants, I can tell you, we know that going beyond 60, 70 kilometers, the margin available to your distributor and the cost of distribution, cost of sales cost is actually starts, it's that law of economic comes in, marginal utility, right? So it's literally break evening. So we have gone in appointing what we call as company appointed sub-distributors, company appointed rural sub-distributors, which are appointed by my salespeople. My company people go and appoint them, but they keep the distributor sales rep along because the servicing of that sub-distributor happens from a distributor. And the distributor shares part of his margin with that sub-distributor. So you get exclusivity and you also get a local stocking and you also get local availability of product to smaller outlets who do not have a capacity to come all the way to main town to buy the product.
Sure. Also speaking, there will be some changes on the marketing front, marketing post COVID-19. What are few major changes which you see in the marketing, and as well as influencer connect? So we have got some influencer whom we are there, or brand ambassador kind of thing. So how do you see this connect going forward in the coming days?
Let me draw a parallel between lubricants and your company. I'm sure your influencers are basically all masons, carpenters, architects, those kind of people, right?
Yes, absolutely.
In my business, the influencers are mechanics, workshops, OEMs, those kind of guys, right? Very clearly, post-COVID, I'm sure you guys had similar seminars which you used to have. We used to have garage meets and get our mechanics together and talk to them about a product and give them product detailing, talk about product knowledge, update them in new technologies, because reason being these are guys, mechanics, who worked for possibly some big OEM. After 2-3 years left that and started their own workshop. Thereafter they don't have any source to upgrade their knowledge, so we use these forums to upgrade their knowledge and bring them up to date. Now post COVID, you can't have many kind of contacts, right? So there'll be a lot of one-to-one contacts, and I think you should gear up for quite a bit of one-to-one contacts and also have very clear guidelines as to what are you going to be talking one-to-one, because people are same, you're not going to add people, and there'll be a lot of interactions happening. So what is the key messages? How can you curtail that time of 10 minutes with an influencer and for your salesperson to be able to communicate what he wants to? There'll be cut on overall advertising, because don't forget, people cost, other costs, your depreciation of the plant, your rent, your utilities, all are same. There's a possibility of your turnover coming in only for 11 months compared to 10 months. To start with, all companies, and the demand is not going to come overnight. So there would be a little bit of cut on above the line spends, but I'm 100% sure no company will cut back on below the line spends, which is basically at the point of sale, be it hoardings, be it brochures, be it training, be it. So that below the line change is not going to happen. The order sizes are going to become a little smaller. Okay, the order size is going to become smaller, and hence, do we need to have big brochures? I mean, even marketing will have to look at, because marketing guys are very good at making the brand look very big, and which is very nice. And now we have to make it look that, okay, guys, nobody's paying for this advertising. It's all value for money. So that change will have to be brought in by marketing into their ways of communication, which is very succinct, to the point, and it's not like hitting 100% crowd for a 20% target audience. So spend money only where you know that your rupee per contact is the best, and also you are able to meet the most of your target audience. From national, people will go quite a bit to geographical advertising, because wherever you're strong, you will do a little bit of above the line, but all India, you don't need to do it. So these are some changes which I think, at least in my category, I'm going to do.
So I think there are lots of questions coming in. We'll take a few before we close. There's one question: how do you see the MSME segment handling this particular crisis? Because indirectly that becomes a critical part where our steel also goes in. So any light on how the MSME segment will survive this particular COVID scenario?
I mean, first, I think it's a very, very, very strong word. What does survive? I mean, I don't think a 45-day curtailment is going to make us, not survive. I mean, let's face the facts. Okay. Yes, like I said, it's a setback to all our businesses, and we have to see as to how best we can make good of it. Uh, MSME segment, I mean, look at it from the point of view to the government, the way government is going about Make in India. That's going to be very supportive of MSME. Uh, the infrastructure development, the amount of money which government wants to spend in infrastructure, that's somehow or the other going to go into, people being able to earn money. If there's a disposable income, people buy more. So I seriously, whether it's a large scale MSME, anybody is going to be equally impacted. What matters is have we lost consumption? If we have lost consumption, then I can say that you have to then do cost cutting. Because reason being, if you know very for clear purposes that your consumption for this 45 days has been lost, you're going to get in 2020-21 only 10 and a half months to sell, then you need to look at your cost buckets and look at whatever is the unwanted cost, you need to cut that off. And this is a time to take those serious calls and say that I will take back that cost, and it should never be permanent. I'll take back that cost as my consumption starts to come back. Like I said, first 2 months is going to be a little problematic. Can we do instead, like just give an example. Earlier, I would allow a truck of 9 ton to go to my distributors. I'm 100% sure starting 4th May, I will only book 16 ton loads for my distributors for the fact that my 16 ton truck cost on a per ton basis much lower than a 9 ton basis. So all those unwanted costs, I mean, today, one has to look at every cost saving benefit which can accrue to the company. Otherwise, I don't see a chance. Some companies will, but they always say whenever there's an economic downturn, why is it that 50% companies fail and 50% companies do extremely well? And since we don't have an open forum, normally I would have asked this question and waited for people to answer. Let me answer it on behalf. I'll say people who are positive minded, who know that this is just a dip to make us look back on our business and look back and re-strategize as to what was going right and what was not going right, and come back with a big force. They actually do extremely well even in the downturn. And the companies will say, oh baap re, mar gaye, tabah ho gaye, ab to Hindustan ka kya hoga, Bharat desh ka kya hoga. They're the ones who are not going to come out of it. So have a positive bent of mind, have a positive attitude, and I can bet that everybody will survive. Everybody. And India, for that matter, is 130 crore people. It's not a small, even self-consumption in India. I mean, if your domestic consumption is so high, why would we say that we're going to suffer?
On this positive note, I think, Sunil, I'll stop here. It was really a great, insightful session. Just to summarize a few critical points for our entire distribution and sales team to take forward. I think you spoke highly on strategies to expand the market in this particular scenario. Going forward, how do we ensure we expand our customers? How do we work? How do we strategize on working capital? I think this is something which is most important and critical for all our people down here. And of course, cash is the king. And how in this particular period we ensure training our staff and the sales team, and doubling our efforts of the sales team. So I think on this particular note, I would like to say that thanks everyone for joining in, and thanks a lot, Sunil. It was really insightful and a lot of things for everyone to take back from. And thank you once again. I would like to say that we couldn't take all the questions, but I think we'll answer them offline. See you all soon. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. And take care and stay home, stay safe. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.